Turkey 3, Georgia 1. What was your opinion on this one, Vish?
I feel like the Euros so far has been like a brilliant album. And I thought about what was my favourite album. It's probably Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest.
Right, all right.
And this was Electric Relaxation. This was the best of it. This is what you build up to.
It's a nice analogy.
England-Serbia, a bit of an album filler.
That was, yeah. That was like old school record. I was scratched. Fuck. Flip it over then.
I'm playing it on the wrong setting.
But this one...
God, it's playing backwards. It's a message from the devil.
But this one...
Yeah, this was... I think this highlighted why the Euros are so fun, because it's kind of everything you want from football, because it's a combination of like technical excellence laced with feeling.
Oh,
like the emotion behind all the goals.
A lot of feeling.
Even the runaway goal from Aktakoglu at the end there, where it crescendoed. You knew exactly what was going to happen. He was going to put the ball in the net.
Yes.
But just the build up to it, and the way that even the rest of the Turkey squad were waiting on the touchline to run on. Like it was just, I thought it was the perfect game of football.
If I agree with all that Vish has said there,
the perfect game of football. Wow.
If this game, so basically, if the Euros was the fireworks display in the centre of London on New Year's Eve.
This game was being at home, was it?
This game was the Captain Tom drone display, the pièce de résistance of the entire thing. I'm hoping we haven't peaked too early.
Right.
I did say I think it was Monday to everyone listening, and I think there was general kind of consensus in the studio about it, that this is the great thing about tournament football, and particularly Euros football. You cannot afford to miss a single game.
No.
Because you are going to be the person who doesn't watch a game like this. Because I can totally understand if you're a casual football fan and you haven't got to do this preposterous job that we've got.
Or you've got a job.
Yeah. You might have to go, I've got to plan my meeting style. I'll probably plan it around Turkey, Georgia, because I don't know that many of the players, whatever. And you would be wrong to do that. And there's the evidence right there.
This really rewarded the sickos, didn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
What did you think of it, Marcus?
The sickos. I was so torn over this one, because on one hand...
Cash on the Attic was on BBC Three?
Yeah. On one hand, Turkey, of course, is where St. George is from.
That's true.
But Georgia
have got it in their flag.
They've got 5 of the buggers. 5 St. George's flags. 5 crosses on their flag.
Because they're serious about patriotism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We know Turkey are.
Yeah.
It's not a very woke flag, is it? The Turkey flag. All the Georgia flags.
So I was hoping for a high score draw.
Imagine if Georgia, because they showed a bit, didn't they? We're talking about the game. Imagine they go through and they played England in the next round of the quarterfinal, whatever.
We win either way.
England unveil a new flag and it's got 6 Georgia's crosses on it.
Or a new kit, and it's that waistcoat that Marcus wears.
With just the England crest all over.
As long as Nike haven't designed any of it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Woke nonsense.
They would have ruined that Georgia flag.
Yeah. Marcus
all 5 of them.
Marcus's waistcoat was actually made by a listener, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
In fact, it's not. It's all of ours, really. It's society's waistcoat.
Yeah, but it fits you. It coincidentally, it's bespoke, tailored to your size.
Actually, more Pete's size, actually.
Is it? Okay.
But
very sword in the stone, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Whoever could get it to fit.
True.
Is the most powerful rambler.
Oh dear. But back to this game. Then, with 36 shots in the game, most of any game at the tournament.
Are you listening, England? Are you listening to this?
Well, they still only get 3 points.
Imagine if their training today, ahead of the game, was just Southgate comes in with a VHS video of this game. Just fucking watch that. Locks the door like it's wet play.
And he stops it halfway through and like, these aren't highlights.
Yeah. Exactly,
yeah. Georgia's first ever game at a major tournament, and it was gutting for them that they didn't get something out of it. The way they were pushing towards the end. But it was such high-octane stuff, and the atmosphere as well. I think that's
incredible.
I think that's one of the great things about the Euros that we haven't seen for a while, due to COVID last time, of course.
Yeah.
Even though it was all over the continent, but you can't ignore the bloody pandemic, of course. So you have you have it in Germany, which is obviously pretty central in Europe, a country which has a large diaspora of all sorts of different cultures and nationalities.
Particularly Turks in Dortmund as well.
Indeed, totally. But it's a country that people can get to, reasonably easily, if you see what I mean. And
there's no hard border.
Well, don't get Andy in here talking about the trains.
Yeah, stop the trains, he's been saying.
Andy walked into the other office on Monday to tell everyone that he hasn't even left for Germany yet and his train's already been cancelled.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you are going out there, do be aware.
I don't know why he thinks I should be interested in that. It's an amazing first world problem.
It is. Well, but it's a very real problem for a travelling journalist. Though.
Yeah. Why didn't he pick this tournament for Turkey as dark horses?
He needs to invest in a rocket bike
to
get in between the German cities. So if you see Andy on that, then
or he could run like Arda Guler.
True.
He could run between them.
Yeah, that's it. Although Andy's diet, I don't think he's got enough protein to keep him going.
No, he's more yoga with Goldie.
Yeah.
Isn't he?
That happened once.
No, he used to do yoga at the same club as Goldie.
Okay.
He did.
Yeah, right. I'm not denying it.
Don't make the story worse on the show.
Oi, temper.
That's good.
Thank you. So, where were we? I think we were talking about Turkey, Georgia.
But the fans.
But the atmosphere has been great, and people have been turning up in their droves. And there may well have been some unsavoury scenes before the game, which is obviously regrettable. But the vast majority of people there were not doing that, and it was incredible to see. And I think it was Willie Samuel who said that I'm not sure if it was a great game or a great atmosphere or one caused the other, but it was quite outstanding. But you're right, Vish. Some of the quality. I mean, some of the goals. The goal that gets us underway from Turkey. It's an absolute peach. Arguably the goal of the tournament.
It's got to be the goal of the tournament because of the technique, but also because it was on the Buddy Holly. And it's the first Buddy we've seen, isn't it?
It might be
first decent Buddy we've seen.
Although I did love that Romanian opening goal.
Oh yeah, that was a beauty as well.
Was nice.
But the thing is, we already have a great selection of goals.
We do. Yeah, we've got stuff to hang our hat on already.
The tournament's not that old.
The guy who has to put together the montage at the end of the tournament he's sleeping easy now.
Oh yeah,
because he's not even got any red cards in there.
No. They already did a montage last night where they showed all the goals from outside the box.
Yeah,
there's been loads.
But to be fair, if you
loads swept into the.
There's been a lot of sweeping.
There has been quite a lot of sweeping. It's been like fucking Only Fools and Horses. The trigger. There's Here's the thing, though, Vish. I know that I'm not going to win any points for saying this, and people don't like it when I slag off other people's broadcasts. But
we're better than them.
But the BBC was struggling big time for content. By the end of that broadcast, they were crying out for that VT. And some of the shit that was being talked in there, and this is me saying it.
Oi, name and shame them. Who was it?
Micah Richards, Gary Lineker.
Richards, was he laughing?
Both terrible, absolutely abysmal yesterday.
It's like prison yard stuff, just going for the biggest names.
yeah. But the difference is no one noticed. I can't even get shanked. No one even knows who I am. No, it was poor stuff. It was very, very thin gruel, and I think the VT was a salve to that wound. Just show a load of goals on the VT. Everyone likes that.
I know you've always been an ITV man.
I love Pugas.
Yeah.
I think Pugas is probably the most underrated one out there.
Anyway, but we must talk about a little bit more of the game because, as I say, it was fast and it was furious. And Georgia did what you want a new team to do at the tournament. When you think, oh, okay, we've not seen these guys before. You've obviously got a standout player with old Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah.
How are they going to take to this? Well, like a duck to water, despite losing 3-1, of course. The way they were, and I mean, when they responded to the Turkey goal as well, could have gone 2-1 up. And in fact, they'll have come away from this game thinking, how on earth did we
It's
not
only
get...
a 3-1 because of what happened at the end that Vish talked about.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
because they sent their goalkeeper up.
Yeah,
They think that if you're going to lose 2-1, you'd rather have a 10% chance of getting a 2-2 and a 90% chance of losing 3-1.
And they were so close to doing it as well. They will be gutted about this and they'll have to pick themselves up for the next game. I mean, they nearly scored... Again, one of the goals of the tournament, which hit the bar. We jinxed it past the defender. It was Dennis Bergkamp-esque stuff.
Even the move for their goal was outstanding.
It was. But Turkey have a bit of quality in there. And with Guler scoring that goal, curling it in, as they were saying I can't remember if it was commentary or the pundits, the way he picked it up, the way he shaped and the technique, it would have been quite odd had it not have gone in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the body shape, everything. I know there's been a lot of chat about the Turkish Messi and so on. I haven't seen that much of him. You're very aware of the player, and when he gets it, you have that element of anticipation, which you don't get from that many players.
And the reason for that is because he's still in the very early stages of his career, right? People are crying out for him. Carlo Ancelotti's had to answer a lot of questions about him at Real Madrid. He's not actually featured that much this season. He's
got a few goals towards the end of the campaign.
Yeah, his goal scoring record is decent for the amount of football he's actually played. But respectfully, he's playing for Real Madrid, and so the goals he's scoring, scoring in a 4-0 against Granada and a 5-0 against Alaves.
What's the point? What is the point?
They all count. I'm just saying this is a real chance for him to strike out and make a name for himself. Because when you play for a country like Turkey, they've got some great players over the years and they've got a decent team. They've seemed to regularly qualify, but he could be a superstar for Turkey, right? The fact they're calling him a Turkish Messi or whatever is a reason for that, and for him to step up and have his moment, I think is an amazing thing because fine to say the point about the technique and the way he shaped it and stuff. It's not easy to do from that kind of range.
No.
Against an international goalkeeper. Yeah, it might be quite easy to do.
Highly rated goalkeeper.
Might be quite an easy thing to do against the Czech goalkeeper, but we'll come on to that. So it was amazing for him to make his mark. And of course, the added bit to that is if they didn't have an absolute meltdown at the back, Georgia, because they were trying to get an equaliser, it would have been the winning goal as well, which really cuts it out as making a difference. So it was a great performance, I thought.
Your thing about moments is spot on there, because you think about these kind of tournaments and there are always players that come to the fore. Mm-hmm. And when he picks that ball up and as you said before, Marcus, like when he shapes up, you're like, yeah, this looks right. I'm going to remember something about this, and it just goes into the top corner.
Can I go back to the first goal very quickly and just say that it's absolutely unforgivable that the commentary team didn't have an X-Files pun lined up for Mulder scoring.
I'm glad you picked up.
They have to have something in their locker for that.
But with the umlauts over the U's, is it not
people have taken more artistic licence with names than that.
The aforementioned Gary Lineker.
Lineker didn't even do it. Lineker would climb over his own grandmother for a shit pun.
Yeah. By
and
the way,
didn't do Mulder.
If I may say, actually, that you little error there, they've changed the name. It's now the Twitter Files.
Oh, so
yeah.
You're really happy you got that out, didn't you?
So you've done what Lineker's done there, but I don't mind it. For some reason, when you do, I don't mind it.
I am incredibly pleased with myself.
I was Googling goalkeepers called Scully last night.
Ooh.
Would have been great if he'd scored it against so-and-so Scully, right? You know?
But they were friends.
They were friends, but
Vish.
And they did it.
They did. We don't know that, do we?
I think we do.
There was some tension between them, is the point.
No, they banged.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Great contribution, mate.
The XXX files.
There we go. Right, we've all had a go, so to speak, and we could move on from that. But yes,
Ryan Scully plays for Hamilton Academic for course.
Hamilton Accies have got 2 mentions since the Euros have started.
If he was in goal for Georgia, it would have been a dream scenario.
It would have been.
What I'm saying.
It would have been.
I actually just realised he left in 2022 without playing a game. So
like that time in cricket when the batsman's holding the bowler's willy.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, it would have been up there with that. Yeah. So Turkey, they won their opening game of the European Championships for the first time ever. We assume that Andy this time has them as dark horses because everyone slagged off Andy for having Turkey's dark horses last time around when they didn't do much. He actually didn't have them as dark horses.
He did have instead Serbia or something.
Maybe Slovakia.
Maybe.
Yeah.
How'd they get
the Czechs. I think
it was the Czechs, yeah.
And they got to the quarter-final.
Yeah.
Okay. But Georgia, though, they're up against Czech Republic next.
That's great. That's actually really good for them.
It is, but both need to win. Yeah,
but they have to take the positives from this game. It's easy for us to say, of course, and they'll be gutted they lost. But, it wasn't a 3-1 game. They decided to stand in the middle of the ring and trade, and they come off on the wrong end of it. But
only 2 wonder strokes.
There was a lot to credit their performance.
Yeah.
And I think based on what we saw from Czech Republic, who had their moments, but who looked very shaky at the back, if they go after the Czech Republic early, they've got a really good chance of picking up 3 points. And you know what, actually, without getting too carried away, if they do that, is it too much of a stretch so they could give Portugal a bloody nose? Well, give them an Mbappe? Probably not.
If Portugal have won both of their opening games, then it is possible. But I would say this to Georgia, do it for St. Georgia.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's it. Did you see, Vish, that there was a storm in Dortmund before the game and the stadium created a sort of a waterfall similar to what Old Trafford has? It's becoming quite a feature in there.
A tribute.
I know, yeah.
Did you feel seen?
No, I felt it was a tribute, wasn't it? It's like, when you see a name, you're like, oh, that's nice, I might do that. It's a lovely water
Jim
feature
Ratcliffe's
there.
going, you're not moaning about that one.
Can I get technical?
Can we get any money for that?
We sold that to Dortmund. Jim Ratcliffe sold that leak to Dortmund for $1 million. No, can I just get a little bit technical? I don't know anything about roofing, but I suspect what's happened there is that is a volume of rain going down the roof, overwhelming the guttering and just leaking out. Right. That's not the same as having a hole in the roof.
Right.
The Old Trafford's got fucking holes in the middle of the roof.
Yeah.
This was coming off the front of the roof.
Oh, so did the people who were underneath it get less wet in Dortmund than they would at Manchester United?
You'd have to ask them.
I see what you're saying, Luke, but the result is very much the same.
I just think it's beneath us having this in the running order.
I can't believe that you've tackled this in an analytical kind of way.
Yeah.
I can't believe this is in
which you started with, I don't know anything about roofing.
But I'm going to have a go.
Let me rephrase that.
I know about guttering.
Let me rephrase that. I do know a bit about roofing because I had my roof done fairly recently and I asked the guy quite a lot of annoying questions. Most of which I've forgotten the answers to.
Yeah.
But I think that type of leak there it's not really the same.
No.
I'm just making it clear. I don't want the good.
But they
people
don't have a straw roof in Dortmund.
I don't want the good people of Dortmund to be tarred with that hapless Man United brush.
Okay.
Got to a Champions League final this year.
They did indeed, and lost at Wembley like Manchester United did not that long ago. So
Man United won at Wembley as well recently.
Yeah, but not in the Champions League final.
No.
Should we recall it the signal they're doing a water park?
Yeah, there we go. Just say that and we'll move on then.
Move on.
Just do that one.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I didn't think of that in the first place.
Portugal 2, Czech Republic 1 was the other game in the group last night.
It was also a great game, by the way.
It was a very enjoyable game. Again, high-tempo stuff. These fools are going to be knackered come the knockouts.
Yeah,
I know,
which we won't be a part of.
All this talk of, look at the welfare of players. They bloody love it. Look at them.
They do love it.
Around.
They want more of it.
They really do love
Imagine
it.
by the end, though, like when we get into the knockout stages, they're like, fucking hell, what have we done?
It's like a tiger riding a bike at a circus. He wouldn't be doing it if he didn't want to. Look at him.
He can get off the bike at any point.
The chains make him feel safe.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Cristiano Ronaldo lasted the whole game.
And what was great about this? What was great was that we need to acknowledge this.
No waterfalls.
No, that Cristiano Ronaldo has fully evolved into like a proper like meat and potatoes bruiser of a centre forward.
Yeah, I was quietly impressed.
All the conversation
Yeah.
around the game and clearly the tactics from in the game were just get the crosses into
Yeah, it's
Ronaldo.
great.
He is a fucking head on a stick, this bloke. he's old, he's never done anything, but he's game as fuck. Get him in the middle and he will head everything. He's like a kid at school who only eats spam. He's the most basic bloke. You can frame it wherever you want. You can say what he looks like. You can talk about his physique. You can talk about what he's done. But he is basically now Steve fucking Claridge.
I love it. Can you imagine Roberto Martinez?
That's unfair on Steve Claridge.
Yeah.
He's less than Steve Claridge.
Remember we did
You're forgetting that goal in the playoff final.
Yeah.
I think if Roberto Martinez pre-match press conference. What about Ronaldo? Is he going to play? He is game as fuck. All right? And if that is not good enough for my team, I don't know what
listen, you imagine Roberto Martinez with this version of Ronaldo going, look, he'll die for this club.
Yeah.
He wants it.
Yeah.
He'll fight for everything.
Honestly, look, but all joking aside, the desire of the man at that age is incredible. I know that he's a bit of a interesting character, we'll say. He's very divisive a lot of the time, and he's a freak of nature almost, if you want to use that type of language. But it is extraordinary on a pure sporting level, utterly extraordinary and incredible. In the highest possible degree, his desire to keep on going and to keep breaking records, to keep getting on the end of crosses and doing all that stuff. It is amazing, absolutely amazing.
I mean, that is the remarkable thing about it, because he is playing a position now that is, as Luke alluded to there, like stripped away a lot of the pomp and, I suppose, flair of what basically created his name, created his legacy, let's say. Yeah. And whether that comes from a level of self-awareness, which in itself comes from selfishness to a point, because we know he's a selfish person anyway. But it's still remarkable that it's now he's just playing the part of a player, a footballer that people would die to replicate. Like there are people playing professional football at a high level now who'd like, I'd love to be able to do all those things that he's doing on a whim. Yeah. And it is remarkable.
It is.
What's also remarkable is he's now become a perfect fusion of Niall Quinn and Dean Windass.
Well, I was going to say, do you remember we did...
you would not expect that to be the case 15 years ago.
Do you remember we did a poll a few years ago about who's the better striker, Cristiano Ronaldo or Niall Quinn? Yeah. And people took it seriously, and there were loads of replies, Ronaldo, obviously.
Yeah, I think that question is more pertinent than it's ever been. But
do you think, though, based on what you saw last night, and I don't know if they're going to carry on playing like this, Portugal, because they've got a really talented squad, but they did kind of huff and puff a bit.
They did a little.
But do you think it's actually beneficial to the team for him to be a part of it? And the reason I'm saying that, I know he's scoring goals still, and I know he's got a lot to credit him, as Vish has rightly said, and I don't mean to undermine a great guy's career. I personally think it's amazing how brilliant he's been. Yeah. And some people would say he's been the best player to ever play the game, and I would have some sympathy with that. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'd have some sympathy with that viewpoint for sure. And that's all well and good, but he's an amazing amalgamation of that and being the world's most attention-seeking, needy bloke, which is kind of quite weird in a way.
But he's kind of governed like his drive, isn't it?
Yeah, but fine.
How can I get all this attention? But damn good at football.
But Messi still has the drive. He still has the desire and so on. and he's not as
I know,
attentive.
but he's a little weirdo, isn't he? In his own way, he's a
That's
little
not what. That's not
But
what.
Vish, what I'm saying is, if it becomes such a extension of your own ego that you want to play for as long as possible, you want to break all these records, you want to do these things, it certainly tracks that you're going to work really hard to get there. And Frank Lampard was saying that, wasn't he? He was saying that the other day, last night he was saying he was on holiday in the same hotel as him, and it was the summer and they were having the summer off, but he was with his personal trainer like twice a day. He's amazingly dedicated.
Yeah.
But my point is, that can come with a decent amount of tunnel vision where you're like, this is all about me all the time. And the question I was actually going to ask you guys, which I think is an interesting conversational point, is if you watch the reaction of all the players after the game when they get the win, it's an emotional win. They score in the 92nd minute. The other players are basically ignoring him. And that's why I said to Andy in the WhatsApp group, do people not like him in the squad now? And Andy said, it's not they don't like him, but the scales have fallen from their eyes. He's not as worshipped as he was before. So at what point, who is the person that says, this has got to stop, we're better without this because we really want to play with two up top or whatever it may be?
My thought would be is that actually what was quite nice, just from a sort of neutral viewing experience, was at least you knew where he was going to be on the pitch. With Roberto Martinez,
like Kanu.
Yeah, with Roberto Martinez's
Did he live in a wheelchair?
Yeah, he left the FA Cup final in the wheelchair. Yeah,
he'd be sat just by the pitch.
Yeah.
With Martinez's tactics, I mean, fluid would be the thin end of the wedge, how to sort of describe it, if you see what I mean. The interchanging and so on, I thought it was actually maybe a little bit too much and it was a little bit confusing, whereas you look up top and you go, there he is. Yeah. Someone, I know that's his defined position. I suspect against the poorer teams where Portugal will have the lion's share of possession, I mean, they had an enormous amount of possession in this game, then actually I think Ronaldo is actually a handy outlet to have, because you can put the ball in the box. I mean,
he's a Neil Warnock player now, basically, is what you're saying.
Indeed.
You can imagine him coming deep to get the ball, and Neil Warnock going, get up, get back up.
But you can also, the man, he's still Ronaldo. You can imagine him getting the ball on the edge of the box, just shimmying the defender and stuffing it in the top corner. We know what he has in his locker. He doesn't have the big sprints and the take-ons like he has, but he's still got a fair bit to offer. It just, when Portugal, and they will get into the knockout stages, when they face, one of the bigger sides, will they have enough space for him to do a lot of the work? Because I mean, if you look at the side, there's a lot of running in that Portuguese side. There's a lot of pace as well. There's a lot of creativity and a bit of industry as well. I think it's a great team and it's a great squad. And Martinez, I like Martinez. I think he's harshly derided sometimes, and people often have a go at him at international level.
Because you hang out with him in the toilets.
Well, I mean, again, I go back
with him
to
in the bogs.
Like I said, when
this when you were in the cubicle with those? Was this a piss jousting thing? Was that
no, it's
something
a different game.
I wasn't in a cubicle with him. I was in the toilet.
I don't know.
There's a subtle difference,
but an important difference.
Yeah, a very hard difference.
There were more urinals and toilets.
Than there were Martinez's and Spellers.
Yeah,
But to be fair to Fish and to the listeners, you've not really explained why you were in the box with Roberto Martinez.
And I don't think I should.
No, fair enough. Keep the curtain.
Yeah, that's on you. People are going to jump to conclusions.
All I will say is that when he looked absolutely delighted celebrating that second goal, it's the happiest I've seen him since I was in the box with him. But they line up at least on basic principle or on paper as a 3-4-3. We know Martinez likes that formation. A lot of weaving in and out, a lot of this, that's and the others. It's just a case of, will Ronaldo fit that, as I say, when they play the bigger sides? And that's the question. Will they need a bit more running? As I say, they can stretch the play.
That's not the only question.
Yeah.
That is a question. But the other question alongside that, and possibly the more important question, is the extension of that, which is, if the answer to that is no, will Martinez actually drop him? That's what I
Well, he did in the World Cup.
Yeah, he has been dropped in the World Cup, but that was Fernando Santos.
Of course, sorry, yes.
So it's different manager.
And Andy's mentioned that before, that Santos almost kind of laid the foundation for Martinez with regards to that.
What about Pepe, though?
I mean, we're talking about
Pepe's getting no attention.
Ronaldo's not even the oldest man on the pitch.
No.
It was incredible. Again, you talk about desire and hunger and all that kind of stuff. At 41 years old, the oldest man to play at the Euros, that is extraordinary in the highest possible degree.
Not only that, like 41, and to play as a centre-back, why would you bother?
Yeah. Normally goalkeepers that go old.
Yeah, like it is quite thankless. But again, all the things we said about Ronaldo, minus the prick stuff, or maybe.
Yeah, well, in a different way, yeah.
Is, Pepe is just the way he's gone on and just commanded that position. And it's not like this is a Portugal side, and obviously we can throw this with Ronaldo as well. It's not like this is a Portugal side without options.
No.
It's not like
100%.
It's not like they're still relying on George Costa.
Yeah. So I should have said actually that when you have this very, very fluid, perhaps too fluid, maybe, and he'll probably tinker that as they go. Yeah, up top you've got Ronaldo, he's there, and at the back you've got Pepe. Pepe's not sort of
They're moorings.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm at the risk of being a little bit mischievous.
North and south. That's what they are.
Bit mischievous here in terms of the game itself and how it transpired. You know, you can look at it through the prism of Ronaldo and you can say, yeah, Portugal had a load of possession. They had quite a few chances. What did Ronaldo actually do? Well, he got caught offside a lot. He was offside an awful lot.
Mm-hmm.
He was offside, I think, more than any other player in the group stages for Portugal. He missed a load of chances.
I missed a load of chances, harsh, but okay, fine.
That did happen. I mean, he didn't score, and the way Portugal were able to break through was the goalkeeper made an incredible error.
Oh, he should hold that one.
And he was making errors all night. Actually, the conditions were tough, as Danny Murphy rightly said on the commentary. The conditions were really tough, but he didn't look comfortable, and they've not smashed and grabbed it, but they have really benefited from a goalkeeper error, and they scored in the 92nd minute after Czech Republic, defended like Trojans, really. So I think that there is a question to be asked there. I mean, I do think you're right about Martinez and his reputation. I actually think he's a pretty good international manager.
But they always forget that Belgium get into the semi-finals of the World Cup only being edged 1-0 by the France who would win it, who were the best team in that tournament. They were brilliant against Brazil and all that.
And I would also add that in international football, there's far fewer things to win.
Yeah.
So it's not like, take Erik ten Hag, for example. As part of the conversation, people can always say, yeah, but he's won the League Cup and he's won the FA Cup. There is nothing like that in international football.
That's right.
It's shit or bust, really.
Yeah.
And so his record at Belgium was good. I agree with you broadly there, but I do think they'll have more questions than answers after this game, given the quality of the players that they've got available, which Fish said, and I agree with.
Well, he's going to have to really try and find... Not necessarily. We sometimes, I don't know if in other countries though, we're obsessed with what's your best 11, and of course that your best 11 you want to start the game. But as he said himself, Martinez, but your 11 that finishes the game is also vitally important as well. They've got a lot of options, and when Diego Jota came on, I thought they looked better,
much better,
and they looked a little bit more streamlined. And as I say, I think with England sometimes we maybe bemoan the lack of fluidity, although. To be fair, even against Serbia, at times it was a little bit more. It wasn't in straight lines. Whereas Martinez, like I say, Cancelo was popping up everywhere, and that can, and a number of the other players, that can confuse the opposition. That can work really, really well, but it can also confuse yourselves. I don't want to be too basic about it, and I think it just was a little bit too much with Portugal.
They could well be a better team with Diogo Jota through the middle than Ronaldo. Because they've got Rafael Leao on the left, who's a flyer and really unpredictable and really positive. And they had Bernardo Silva on the right, who provides kind of the opposite threat. And you've got Jota in there, who's a brilliant finisher.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant finisher.
But also with Bruno Fernandes as well, I think that he would be more happy to get involved in attacks. I get the impression that he's sort of waiting for Ronaldo to retire before he really.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Get out of the way.
Well, again, he was sort of defending deep at times. You think, oh blimey. So look,
they got the win though.
They've got the win, and I think that. Without being too kind of double standardy, because I was a little bit sort of concerned about England. I'm not actually concerned about for Portugal. I think they got the win. It was a bit smash.
Me neither, because I don't care what they do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they'll be in the knockouts.
Keep playing Ronaldo.
Yeah. They will be a force to be reckoned with. There's no doubt about that at this Euros. Okay, coming up in the second half, we've got a little bit of England chat. Scotland versus Switzerland tonight, of course, and Germany are playing Hungary. See you in a moment.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I don't know whether you knew that Hasek, the Czech Republic coach, is a qualified lawyer, and for a while there we could certainly make a case for the defence, couldn't we? Yeah, OK. Let's remind you of what happened in the early game in this group when Georgia met Turkey. Sounds like a date.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble.
Quite simply, the most bizarre passage of BBC broadcasting. It's absolutely stunning stuff, and I don't think it should go unmentioned. How bad that link was. Right, excitingly, it's time for the next Ramble Bet Builder with our partners at Betfred. Every week, we're building our own Ramble Bet Builder ahead of either England or Scotland's next game, because with Betfred, if you build a bet on any England and Scotland games this summer and it loses, they'll give you your money back as a free bet. It's an offer available on every single England and Scotland game throughout the entire Euros. Today we're looking ahead to England's second group game, which is, of course, tomorrow afternoon against the Danes. Marcus, you're up first. Please give us your selection.
I think at half-time, the result will be a draw. I think it will
You're
be...
such a what did Steve Clark call people? Negative Norman?
No, I think England will go on to win it, but I think at half-time the Danes will think, right, let's not give anything away, because they only drew their first game as well. It'll be cagey. And I think
But England started very well in their first game.
They did.
The first half was better.
Yeah, I think so. But I think England will just sort of feel the game out a little bit. Different approach to Serbia, I think. And we know under Southgate that second group game is often quite a slow one, even though I thought the game against Serbia was a bit more like that, actually. So I think I'm going for a draw at half-time.
And it could be, let's not forget here, it could be 3-3 at half-time. Still a draw.
Exactly.
Yeah. Andy's up next. He's not here with us today. He's frankly thinks he's above it.
Uh-huh.
Is he gone to Germany yet? He's going.
Maybe.
He's probably hitchhiking because his train's cancelled.
No, he's running with hardest geezer. So we asked him to do a voice note about one of his selections for this England game.
Hello all, looking forward to Denmark versus England, and I'm looking forward to there being below 4.5 cards total, mainly because Jude Bellingham can do no wrong, and I'm sure he'll get away with it all over again. That's what we want to see, isn't it? So under 4.5 cards.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I guess on the other side of that, Bellingham could get fouled a lot, which is what happened against Serbia, who was super physical. I was reading actually that Serbia, in terms of fouls committed, were the most physical team England have played since Colombia in 2018.
That's right, yeah.
So that shows you how physical they were. But under 4.5 cards, so we can have 4 cards of any colour in that game and still that part of the bet can come in. So Andy's gone for 4.5 cards. Vish?
I am going to go with Harry Kane to score any time.
Harry Kane.
That's what we had last time. It didn't work. To be fair, it's a well-beaten save.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it. Well, yeah, that's the thing, yeah. He had a very good chance there. I feel like he's going to see more of the ball this time because I think there'll be a few tactical tweaks in terms of they're obviously going to... I think Southgate's going to work out what he wants Foden to do more. Whether he starts or not, we'll see. But I think it will involve Kane being more involved in the build-up and... As part of that, see more of the ball, score a goal.
You're only ever a penalty away as well.
And there's also that as well.
Yeah.
Keep Kane and carry on. That's my Gary Lineker sort of...
Yeah. It's always Kane PM somewhere. Yeah.
If Cold Palmer comes on, I'm doing it now.
Yeah, you are.
And there's a penalty awarded. Is it going to Kane?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. Just checking. I'm going to round off these 4 selections by going for England to win. Ooh. I just think England will find a way of getting it done. I think the reaction to the first game was overblown. I fully understand that if they turn in a stinker in the second game against Denmark, it may not have been overblown in retrospect, but I think they'll do okay against Denmark. I think, as I said to you guys, maybe on Lions Watch a while ago, I think Serbia and Denmark have both had players to hurt England, and I think Slovenia perhaps not so much. But I still think England will come out of this game against Denmark with a win. So in summary, Marcus has picked a half-time draw, under 4.5 cards from Andy. Vish has gone for Harry Kane to score any time, and I've gone for England to win. A £10 bet on that bet builder returns £65, and if we win all that money, we'll go to Prostate Cancer UK. Minimum 4 selections on any England and Scotland match at odds of 3-1 or more. 100% of your stake back in free bets on your first losing bet builder bet on any England or Scotland game. 18 plus, T's and C's apply. Go to begambleaware.org for more information.
Yes. Now, gentlemen, we've seen every team play at the tournament.
Yes.
And we've thoroughly enjoyed it. How are you feeling, therefore, about the aforementioned England, Vish? Because we sort of joke, the England-Serbia game was perhaps the most sort of, well, you could say the dullest game in the
slowest tempo.
Definitely the slowest tempo. And that really was England who did that, made sure it was of a slow tempo. I feel like England, against Denmark, they've got a chance to really, really join the party. But I don't think that they will. I think they'll still be just standing on the edge of the dance floor thinking, no, maybe 1 or 2 more drinks. I'm waiting for the right tune.
Yeah, what tune are they waiting for?
Vindaloo. There you go.
I feel like the matchup with Denmark will suit England a bit more in terms of allowing them to play a bit, because I feel like Denmark's best chance of a victory is to get England trying to play through them rather than hitting long balls. I think there'll be a lot of wanting to hit England on the transition, essentially, where they can find space for their ball players.
Yes.
And for that reason, I think it's, as I said, a better matchup for England. In terms of like how they've tracked with everyone, I suppose England are the one team where you don't necessarily like it's to step out of our like very English. Oh, that wasn't very good. I thought we were supposed to be good at this. I feel like apart from France and maybe Portugal as well, the teams that were deemed favourites for the tournament outright haven't really flexed.
I mean, Germany and Spain have.
Yeah, but but neither of those two were considered favourites in the way that they were.
You're thinking Portugal, England, France.
Yeah, the way that those three teams were talked about.
Right.
France did to a point. I think Germany did to their surprise, not least because Scotland let them as well. So I think there's almost that the thing you'd attribute onto Germany in these kind of competitions where you're like, oh, they're building towards something, or you can't rule them out. I think people by and large are looking at England thinking, yeah, they've got a lot more to give. We're not really too sure.
I think that as well. I think the perspective from other people will be looking at England and go, okay, they've done the job. And I think the real indicator of that for me, as I said to you, Marcus, was the reaction of the players from the journalist questions after the game. England players were quite confused by it. Like Bellingham answered the first couple of questions by going, "Oh, I'm not really sure about that. I mean, I don't know," and then he just answered the question because I think they felt like they had executed a game plan they wanted to execute. I would say also that if you look at how Denmark's set up and look at the players they've got, I think England are all wrong for them. I think Denmark will find it very, very difficult in the middle of the pitch, particularly to deal with England.
Well, they want revenge, of course, for that semi-final defeat.
But I just don't think if they set up.
Don't count out revenge.
I would never do that. No. You know how petty I am as a human being. It's never going to happen. But if you look at the three in midfield for Denmark against Slovenia, they got pegged back. Of course, scored early and then got pegged back. It's Hjulmand, who plays for Sporting, and I haven't seen much of him play. I know Sporting had a good season, so he looked a fairly decent player, but he did struggle at times, got picked up a booking, got subbed off. Højbjerg is nowhere near the level of the best England players in midfield.
Battle hardy, though.
And Christian Eriksen is not at all playing the best football of his career, right? And he's not even really playing much at club level, right? And I understand they'll be motivated to play against England because of the Premier League connection. You've got Højlund up there who could perhaps do a bit, but he didn't really do an awful lot against Slovenia either. So I think England are all wrong for Denmark, and I think Denmark will be trepidatious at this game.
I think for England, my concern is, and it's what Cesc Fabregas has been saying on the BBC, who's been really good, by the way.
He is great.
Him and Lampard were brilliant.
I agree.
Just to give BBC some props.
Yeah, you got to be balanced about it, like they are.
Yeah, exactly. I think that England, it concerned me that you just press against England and they just hit it long to Kane.
Yeah, but mate, Denmark, there's no way.
No, I'm not talking about Denmark. I'm talking about the whole thing, and so that is a concern. However, my sincere hope with England is that Southgate is thinking, some of these players are coming back into fitness. Let's get the minutes up. Let's just get the job done. As we saw in the previous Euros, actually. Let's just get it done. And then once you get into the knockouts, which presumably England will, then you hit them hard. I don't know whether it will happen.
So you build into the tournament?
I sincerely hope that is what's going on. Because a lot of people said this about England in the last Euros. Oh, what's going on? This is not good. They're not scoring goals and it's all a bit there. My concern is that you press England and England go, long ball.
Fair enough, but if you take the crocodile nearest the boat, which Denmark are, they haven't got the players to do that.
Right.
Højlund plays for Man United. They literally don't press.
Now he's going to score. Brilliant.
They may be being told to press, but they don't do it. Eriksen can't even get into the team that doesn't press. And Højbjerg doesn't play for Postecoglou much because he also can't press.
Okay.
So you've got they're quite.
So can we play Denmark every week?
They're quite a meat and potatoes team, is what I'm saying. But I also just wanted to say, in terms of the teams that impressed me so far, I've got a feeling we might look back on that Germany performance against Scotland. If they follow that up today with another big one, you start to go, okay, maybe Scotland were up against quite a lot there, and it's not necessarily all their fault.
Well, let's go to Scotland now. Scotland v Switzerland is tonight at 8 p.m. and Scotland needs something. There's no two ways about that. When we talk about that 3 points can get you through the group, that is true. But having been beaten 5-1 in terms of goal difference, it's really is. It's going to be very, very difficult if Scotland lose this game tonight. Vish, and Steve Clarke said that 4 points was always the aim. So so they have to really take something, I think, from this game,
especially given how some of the other groups have lined up with other teams potentially getting 4 points and finishing third. So they'll be kind of last in the queue if it does come to that when they're on, if 3 points is all they get. I really think, like, I can totally understand why Steve Clarke was annoyed after this game, because as people have spoken about, it was exactly the kind of performance that Scotland have been painfully and systematically walking away from, in terms of, very few ideas, very stodgy. The reason they qualified for this tournament and they qualified for the Euros in 2020
and won their Nations League.
Is by playing more engaging football. But I think Clarke has to hold some responsibility for that, because you can't play a team like Germany and just expect to win the ball back from them and then do something with it, because you just have ball winners in there, because you don't have ball players in there. Play John McGinn through the middle, man. Whether it's if you're desperate for a shuttler or a hard worker out wide, play Armstrong or something. But you need McGinn back in the middle there, like in the heart of it all. If you're going to have McTominay, push him a little bit further forward. But I think, for all Clarke's annoyance at Scotland's performance, I think he has to take some of the flak.
Yeah, definitely. And they're going to play a different shape against Switzerland. They'll have to. They'll play Shankland. They can't play Porteous because he's suspended. They'll move McGinn into the middle. I'm 100% sure of that with McTominay.
Yeah.
And they have to go after it.
Did you think it was right to give Porteous a 2-match ban?
It's a bit cruel, that, isn't it?
He's lucky not to get a 4-6 stretch.
Honestly, I was like, just 2 matches.
Yeah.
That was a shocker.
Well,
Anyway,
to be fair, I think they might have thought it's completely academic.
Well, that's what I mean. They would have judged it on that.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I'm back for the knockouts, are you?
Yeah. Sorry, Rye.
Here's the thing. I think Vish is spot on. I agree with every word he said. And Switzerland have got players that can hurt Scotland as well, right? But Scotland have recorded some results in qualification, Nations League, which does suggest that on their day, if they trust themselves and back themselves, they can beat Switzerland. There's no denying that. They've got players to do it if they believe in themselves, right? It just comes down to whether they're telling themselves the story that when it comes to tournaments, they're just not good enough.
Well, this is
because that's what the Germany game said to me. It said,
we're just happy to be here.
Right. And they can't do that. They have to get up on the front foot and they have to show they can hurt Switzerland, because even the problem is, I suppose, at the back, if you look at Switzerland, they've actually got a pretty good back four, a back three and goalkeeper. They've got Sommer, who's a brilliant goalkeeper. They've got Fabian Schär, who's a good Premier League operator. And I actually think Akanji is amazing. Yeah. And they've got Rodriguez, who's hugely fucking experienced.
They've got a better team than Scotland.
So Shankland's going to have to get busy if he does play, and he's going to have to occupy as much of that as possible. And they're going to have to show that they can do in midfield what the players who play for their club can do.
Do they play Billy Gilmore? That's a big talking point with regards to Scotland.
I don't think he will play Gilmore. I think he possibly should, but I don't think he will.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's madness. Why take him?
Exactly.
But this really is. Like we've spoken about.
I think it is do or die.
But this is do or die.
I think it is. I think you're right.
Got to play Gilmore.
I would have him in there. I mean, obviously, you remember how he played against England. Scotland just don't really have a player like that. And Gilmore has done it before in the Euros. It was a shame for him. Am I right in saying he then tested positive for COVID and didn't play against Croatia?
And then Mason Mount and someone else.
Ben Chilwell.
Yeah, that's it. Chilwell.
Chilwell's tournament was pretty much
chatting to him. Yeah,
that's right. I'd have him in there. I really, really would. John McGinn has promised we'll see a different Scotland tonight against Switzerland. And I sincerely hope so, because against Germany, okay, fine. There's ways of losing football matches, and it really was piss poor. And I think Scotland, we often understandably and rightly talk about England having this mentality that they need to get rid of in tournaments, and Southgate has done a lot of that, not all of it of course, because England have fallen short ultimately. Scotland have this in abundance as well, this idea that we're just happy to turn up and so on, like a lot of the fans often say. I know deep down they don't mean that, but what happens on the terraces and in the media can filter through to the players, and I think that would be fair to say with the England team. I mean, Capello even talked about in his time as England manager, 1966, bloody hell, like that. I just get rid of that. So much chat about that.
Definitely feels,
and with Scotland, I think that there is that, and tonight there's a real chance, and I think we might see Scotland rally a bit. I wouldn't be shocked if they got something out of this game, because they have to respond. There's no two ways about it.
Well,
and getting a result here. Sorry, getting a result here. They've then got Hungary, and Hungary are playing Germany tonight. And Hungary might be down on the hunches after this one. I mean, it was a surprising performance by Hungary against Switzerland. But if Scotland go into that game thinking we beat Hungary, we're through, my goodness.
That horrendous run they went on going into the Euros, basically after they qualified, or kind of in the back end of their qualification, because it was intertwined with friendlies against big nations, because it was something they wanted to work out, essentially. They didn't want to cower, they wanted to be prepared for it. Obviously, they fucked that completely.
Yeah.
The problem is you can't replicate anything, can you?
No, exactly, yeah. But now they can go back to what got them qualified. Do you know what I mean? They can play a bit more on their strengths rather than worrying about the other team.
Totally.
Despite the fact that obviously Switzerland have better players, but Scotland can go toe-to-toe with them if they truly believe.
It's a completely different challenge as well, and it's a big ask. And we talked a lot about if you had to play Germany, then when would you like to play them? And we said the opening game there'd be pressure on them. But looking back on it now, it just looks like a massive mountain. Probably the hardest challenge that any teams had to face in the opening game was Scotland's, right? Okay, based on what's transpired. This is a completely different challenge, but it comes down to whether they trust themselves, and it comes down to whether... Because the thing I feel a bit of an affinity with Scotland. I always want them to do well. If they're not playing England, I'll always support them. And it annoys me, and I'm not even really a Scotland fan, it annoys me that the only chat around it is, how great the fans are.
Totally.
And it's similar with Ireland. Ireland went through that for a while as well. I think the fans travel well. It's just patronising shit.
Yeah.
What needs to happen is Scotland need to understand
I think
that they qualified well, and they should be fucking proud to be there, and they should think that they can win games.
But when you say it's patronising, they patronise themselves. Exactly. Because they're the ones that say it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, but the English media do say it as well.
But English media only say that because English media, I think, probably ignored Scotland a little bit too much in years gone by. Yeah. And the Scots understandably sort of moaned about that. And then they go, okay, what are we going to sell? The fans are really great. And that's what they kind of dine out on. And it's like, well, fine, but at some point the team are going to have to give a better account of themselves. And of course, we saw that against England in the last Euros. It was a great performance. On another day, they might have won the damn game. So they've got something. Clark has elevated them. I know it's fair to say he's a bit dour in some of the interviews, but actually, what he's done for team spirit and the Scotland side is evident to see. 2 Euros that they've qualified for. Then they've played well in between times as well. It's a chance. There's no two ways about that. And it is a huge game tonight. And all the Jimmy Wiggs and bagpipes. That's all great, but let's see a performance now. Let's see Scotland with do something.
It
and
becomes
not just a bit of...
It becomes absolute shit or bust.
Yeah.
Because Germany, if you fancy Germany beat Hungary, and I think you'd be fair to say that. They're going to be on 6 points. If Switzerland beat Scotland, they're going to be on 6 points.
Yeah.
You're really then you are literally like foraging around for the crumbs off the table try and hopefully bluff your way into a third place position, which then means you'll almost certainly get an absolute stinker in the next round. So it really is. It's almost now an extension of knockout football already for Scotland.
Is it fair to say in the Germany-Hungary game that the big number 9 with the beard, Martin Adam, has been getting a lot of
Cristiano Ronaldo with a beard?
Yeah, exactly. Do you think he'll be foraging around for crumbs off the German table?
I'm terrified to say anything.
He doesn't forage. He pillages.
He does. I watched it
when he came on. I was thinking to myself, where's he? Get it! Why have we waited this long?
Where have you kept him?
Yeah,
it's like Wolverine. That chamber.
Yeah. I watched.
He can carry a franchise, that lad.
Yeah,
get him out there.
I watched a YouTube compilation of Martin Adam yesterday on all his goals. It was honestly like watching a bulldozer through a children's playground. It was. Oh, there goes the treehouse.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
He's crushed the seesaw to bits. It was incredible.
I know.
Did you see
the tank?
The video, the press conference where he was told about like all this fame he's getting on social media. Yeah. And obviously people were like, infatuated with him, like adored him, just because of how he looked, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But he took it the other way. He thought people were just taking the piss.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not doing that. I think it's amazing.
It was quite sad because he was like, I was born with this body shape. I was like, mate, we understand.
Yeah,
don't worry, we get it.
Yeah, lean into it. I love the fact...
I wasn't born with this body shape. I've made it happen.
I love the fact that he plays in the Korean league as well.
Yeah.
I mean, a 6'3" beardy bloke. I mean,
he stands out like a sore thumb.
I was going to say like 18 sore thumbs.
He's Liam Neeson. He brings a very certain set of skills.
I should say so. It'd be amazing if they managed to get a result, but I'm not sure that's going to be the case.
Oh, listen, I think it's him and one up one and the Nicholas Fulkrug up the other end. It's proper return to meat and potato stuff.
It is, and I think that's it. I think that's what we like. I mean, look, but with regards to Hungary, Germany, Hungary have got results against Germany. They've been a bit of a bogey side for Germany recently. So I wonder how they'll play. As I say, they were quite open against Switzerland, oddly, which kind of goes against the success that Marco Rossi, the manager, who's had with them. So I wonder if we'll see a bit more of the sort of, I wouldn't say classic Hungarian because the hipsters might have a problem with that. But what we've seen Rossi do and get good results before, then maybe we'll do that.
Well, I think they're probably better set up to contain Germany than Scotland were.
Yeah.
And then it depends whether they can rely on their quality.
Yeah.
You know, players like Szoboszlai, who we know can do it, and one or two others. Because I think there's an element that the pressure on Germany, given the run up to this tournament they've had, has relieved a wee bit because of the big win they had in the opening game. You follow that up with a bit of a stinker, a bit of a muddy, kind of sticky performance. The pressure comes back on you again. So they're still under. I mean, they're probably the team more than anyone else who's under the most pressure, I would say, because they're at home and the reputation they've got and the history they've got. So, Hungary can try and tap into that. It might be a difficult afternoon for them.
It would be great if both games ended in a draw, because that Scotland-Hungary game would be massive then.
Yeah.
Both sides needing a victory to go through.
But if you look, just very quickly, if you look at like Hungary's shortcomings against Switzerland, they were surprised at how quickly Switzerland were playing, and they couldn't get near them.
Yeah.
And if you look at Musiala's performance against Scotland, I appreciate, when Scotland had 11 men, by the way, Musiala was all over them. I mean, I could see much of the same today.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you're basically trying
Portugal's basically forgot about VAR. He thought to himself, I'm going to take one of them out. And he nearly got away with it if it wasn't for that pesky VAR.
But you're trying to tell yourself stories about how teams can get, lesser teams can get a result against Germany, and then every time you just return to what Wirtz and Musiala were like. And you think, fucking hell, it's a big ask.
It is a big ask. Also today, Croatia against Albania kicks off at 2 p.m. You see, Dalic was kicking off, wasn't he? He was going on about, you've always got us as... it was slightly confusing. He was annoyed that Croatia were always called dark horses, and then he was annoyed that they were being patronised after the Spain loss, saying, "Oh, what happened to you?" And he started saying, "We've won 3 medals in our history, and England have only won 1 over 50 years ago." Well, the medals they've won are 2 silvers, because one would be Nations League, right? So I think it would be 2 silvers and a bronze.
Yeah.
Which oddly, England actually have more medals.
Yeah.
So it's the same amount. I mean, England obviously got the gold one in '66.
Yeah, silver.
They got silver in the Euros, and they also got a bronze at the Nations League.
Yeah.
So they don't have more medals.
This is turning into quite a pathetic conversation.
It really is.
Yeah, between you and Dalic. Get him in the bogs at Craven Cottage and thrash it out.
He started it.
Tops off. Who's finishing it?
Well, I think I already have.
And we've taken back control as well.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but he was really annoyed. So Croatia, we expect a response from them, of course.
Well, people who...
Croatia, I find that the Croatian football team are quite thin-skinned sometimes. Remember when they went mad at the Canadian manager?
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff.
Why are they getting mad at the Canadian manager?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't
they were
know.
awful as well.
Yeah. So we wish Albania all the best.
Well, I just think you got the people who think they're cleverer than everyone else, Andy Brassel and Thomas Frank, talking about the underlying metrics of Croatia's performance against Spain. Let's see what the underlying metrics are like against Albania. Maybe they'll be back on the horse and they'll blow them away.
Yeah.
But if they don't, they're in big trouble.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.